It was only day 5 of the Buffalo Bills training camp, but you wouldn't know it by the energy and the drama coming out of Orchard Park, while the defense turned heads and showed flashes of something potentially special under the new regime. The growing list of injuries has suddenly become the storyline nobody wanted this early in camp. Let's just start with the big one. First-round pick Maxwell Hairston went down during individual drills. There wasn't a hit, no wild contact, just one of those non-contact slips that send chills down your spine. Trainers rushed in, tested his knee, and although he managed to walk off the field with some help, it didn't look good. He wasn't carted off, which is always a tiny sliver of good news. But the fact that the team gathered for a post-practice prayer for him says everything. It felt serious. This is a guy who was drafted to be a key part of the secondary, maybe even start opposite Christian Benford. But now, just a few practices into camp, we're wondering if his rookie season might be in jeopardy before it even begins. And here's the thing. He was already in a battle. Tre'Davious White has been one of the most consistent players in camp. For a guy that's had both an Achilles and an ACL tear in recent years, White looks rejuvenated. The movement, the technique, the competitive edge, it's all there. He's showing he still has the juice. When he came to Buffalo, the questions were obvious. Could he stay healthy? Could he be counted on for a full season? Could he return to being the type of player that opposing quarterbacks fear? Well, if camp is any indication, the answer so far is a firm yes. But again, let's be real. Training camp and a grueling 17-game regular season are two different beasts. It's been a long time since Tre'Davious White made it through a full year without injury. So while he might be the starter, right, now there's still a lingering question about whether he can sustain that level of performance and durability all the way into January, maybe even February. Behind White and Benford, the Bills do have some depth, but it's being tested already. Dane Jackson's still hanging around, providing veteran experience, and John Marcus Ingram is there too. Quietly grinding. He's one of those guys who has earned his keep with special teams, work, and steady contributions when called upon. Rookie Dorian Strong is another name worth mentioning, but he's a day 3 pick. He's got tools, but expectations need to stay realistic. That's not a knock on Strong. It's just the reality of where he is in his development. What's frustrating is that this group was supposed to be one of the deepest on the roster. Heading into camp, you could argue that cornerback was maybe the most complete position group, but it's football. That depth can vanish quickly. One awkward step from your first-round pick, and suddenly things look thinner and more fragile than you expected. While the cornerback position took a hit, the rest of the defense looked like they came out to make a statement. The Bills were dialed in. The drills focused on 3rd and longs and 2-minute situations, and it was the defense that came away with the upper hand. Ryan Nielsen's fingerprints are already all over this unit. We're seeing 5-man pressures constantly, bringing heat from all angles. Slot corners, linebackers, it doesn't matter. They're coming. The chaos, the unpredictability, the attacking mindset, it's clear this defense isn't going to sit back and react. They're going to dictate the action. And on Tuesday, they did. Exactly that. Even Josh Allen, who's no stranger to improvising under pressure, was forced to take a lot of checkdowns and throw the ball away. That's a testament to how disruptive this defense was. It wasn't just about blitzing. The rush lanes were tight, the coverage was sticky, and the offense was rarely comfortable. It felt like one of those days where the defense just had a little more juice. Joey Bosa flashed on one of the limited team reps he got beating Dion Dawkins clean for what would have been a sack if they were live. And even though there are no actual sacks in camp, you know what that rep meant, winning that. Cleanly against one of the better left tackles in the league means you're doing something right. Ed Oliver was his usual wrecking ball self, especially in the run game. He had a tackle for loss that echoed across the field and several pressures where you could just feel the energy building around him. And then there's Greg Rousseau. Man, if the Bills are going to get the best version of Rousseau this year, they're going to be a problem. He's thriving in these 5-man pressure looks. His length and power allow him to collapse pockets quickly, and he's even batting down passes like a volleyball player at the net. AJ Epinezer's also been making his presence known. These guys are doing more than just holding their own. They're disrupting consistently. One of the surprise standouts of the day was Shaq Thompson. Yeah, that's Shaq Thompson. A veteran on the wrong side of 30 coming off not 1 but 2 season-ending injuries. The kind of player you bring in for depth and hope he can hang. But he's not just hanging, he's pushing for real reps. with Terrell Bernard still out, Thompson has been getting time with the ones, and he's been everywhere, blitzing, covering, making plays against the run. It's hard to ignore what he's doing out there. For someone recovering from an Achilles tear, he looks quick, smart, and confident. And of course, there's Matt Milano. If you've been watching Bills football the last few years, you already know Milano is a monster. But he made the play of the day with an interception on Josh Allen. It was a route to the sideline for Dalton Kincaid, and Milano playing underneath. Read it perfectly. He sank back into the window, baited Allen, and jumped the throw. Interception, it was textbook. Milano's having an unbelievable camp. Whether he's blitzing, playing the run, or dropping into coverage, he looks locked in. Now, with all this defensive dominance, you've got to ask, what's going on with the offense? Well, part of the issue is numbers. The injury list is long and growing. Spencer Brown's dealing with a back issue. Curtis Samuel, Elijah Moore, Caden, Prather, all out with leg issues. KJ Hamler and Mike Edwards left with heat-related issues. Dawson Knox missed practice with a hamstring, although he was seen catching passes on the side, which is at least somewhat encouraging. In total, 5 wide. Receivers were out. That left the likes of Deion Kane and Stephen Gosnell, catching passes from Josh Allen in first-team reps. The depth is being tested hard, but there's a silver lining. When guys go down, others get a chance. And sometimes those chances turn into stories. Speaking of Gosnell, he might be writing one of those stories right now. He's an undrafted free agent out of Virginia Tech, and if you haven't heard of him yet, you might want to start paying attention. He's getting reps with the ones, and he caught the longest pass of the day from Allen, a deep bomb that turned heads. He's also fielding punts and just generally showing up wherever he's needed. Don't be shocked if he becomes the next preseason darling the guy fans fall in love with, even if there's no clear path to the roster. The offense did show a few new wrinkles, even if the execution wasn't always clean. They've been running more pistol formation and more two-back sets. We even saw them run a hook and lateral multiple times, which for a team that usually keeps things pretty buttoned up was a fun surprise. Execution on those plays was solid too. No fumbles, no sloppiness, just creative football being practiced. At tight end, Jackson Hall has been getting a ton of reps with Knox and Kincaid missing time. He's a physical blocker as advertised, but what stood out was his work in the passing game. He's not stretching the field, but he's getting open underneath, making the catches he needs to make and showing he can be reliable when called upon. That matters when you're trying to carve out a role. Khalil Shakir also deserves some love. He's been outstanding after the catch for a while. But what's new this camp is how he's being used. We're seeing more slot fades, more downfield opportunities. He's evolving. It's no longer just screens and shallow routes. He's becoming a more complete weapon, and that could be huge for this offense. Now let's not forget the young. Guys on the defensive line who are trying to make a name for themselves. Deone Walker, Landon Jackson, TJ Sanders. The reps are there, and the effort is undeniable. They're explosive, they're physical, and they're playing with a ton of energy. It's early and it's tough to evaluate trenches from the sideline without replay, but the foundation looks solid. You can feel the hunger in those guys. So yeah, the defense is ahead of the offense right now, and yeah, the injuries are concerning, but this is camp. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The real challenge will be whether this team can get healthy, stay healthy, and continue building chemistry on both sides of the ball. What we saw on day 5 was a glimpse of what this defense could become. Now the question is, can the rest of the team catch up before week 1? As we roll deeper into training camp, the overarching storyline continues to be the injuries, and not just the serious ones, but the sheer volume of them. The Buffalo Bills are dealing with an avalanche of absences, and no matter how much you try to spin it as precautionary or part of the long view strategy, the fact is that reps are being lost. And lost reps in July and August often snowball into missed opportunities, slower development, and tougher decisions once final cuts roll around. Let's just start with the obvious truth here. Every player that misses time in camp is missing more than just a few snaps. They're missing install. They're missing timing with their position group. They're missing communication development with the guys next to them. And for the younger players especially, that missed time is brutal. You only get so many chances to prove you belong. If you're not on the field, you're falling behind. Spencer Brown is one of those guys whose absence stings more than people might realize. He's penciled in as the starting right tackle, a guy with real expectations this season. but he's battling a back injury and hasn't practiced. He's been on the field, yes, but only in street clothes, watching and engaged. That's great for leadership, but it doesn't help you get better at blocking edge rushers in a live rep. Brown needs to be on the field. Every snap he misses opens the door for someone else to impress, and it also stunts whatever cohesion the offensive line is trying to build. Center Cedric Van Pran Granger is another name on the injury list with a calf injury. Again, missing these reps is brutal for a young player, especially one who is trying to learn an NFL playbook, adjust to pro speed, and establish trust with the quarterback and offensive line unit. The interior of the offensive line is a chemistry-based position group. It thrives on familiarity and rhythm. Without it, communication errors and missed assignments become inevitable. Then you've got the wide receivers, where the numbers are just getting ridiculous. Curtis Samuel Elijah Moore, Caden Prather, Tyrell Shavers, KJ Hamler, 5 guys down at one position. It's not just 1 or 2 guys nursing a tweak, it's half the room. And the injuries range from hamstrings to leg soreness to heat-related issues. We can talk all day about the silver lining of backups getting more reps, but there's no substitute for getting your core receivers and your franchise quarterback reps together in a real football environment. Josh Allen is out there working with Steven Gosnell and Deion Kane in team drills. That's not ideal. Not because they can't play, but because these reps are where chemistry is formed. And if your top guys aren't available, you're either stalling that growth or worse, rushing it later under pressure. Tight end Dawson Knox is also missing time with a hamstring injury. He was spotted catching passes on the side during practice, which gives a little hope that he's trending in the right direction. But again, missing real reps hurts. The tight end position is already one of the most demanding in terms of scheme responsibilities. Knox and Dalton Kincaid were supposed to be a dynamic duo this season, a real mismatch problem for defenses, but that only works if they can both stay on the field long enough to build rhythm together. Speaking of Kincaid, he did return to practice after a brief absence due to knee soreness. That's a win, but it highlights the fragile balance teams have to strike between pushing players to build chemistry and keeping them safe in the ramp-up period. There's no perfect formula, but the Bills are clearly leaning cautious, which makes sense in late July, but it won't make the injury list look any prettier. At linebacker, it's more the same. Terrell Bernard is dealing with a hamstring issue. Dorian Williams is out with a calf. These are not just depth guys. They're key contributors expected to play major roles. And with both of them sidelined, the rotation gets thin fast. That's what's opened the door for someone like Shaq Thompson to step up and make noise in first-team reps. But it also creates a sense of instability in the group. Then you've got the Tuesday-specific absences, defensive lineman Dwayne Carter, missed practice due to illness. Offensive lineman Alec Anderson was out with a knee issue. Mike Edwards and KJ Hamler left due to heat-related symptoms. Ty Johnson left early after a tackle that took him out of bounds. Cole Bishop also left practice early, though neither injury seemed immediately alarming since both players stayed on the field in uniform. Still, these are disruptions. These are setbacks. The list of unavailable players is simply too long to ignore. And that's what's so frustrating. Because while most of these injuries don't appear to be long-term issues, they're coming at a time when the team is supposed to be laying the foundation. Coaches can try to plug in replacements. They can install the plays again next week. But the cohesion, the reps, the competition, those moments don't wait. They're lost. The Bills had the day off following this intense stretch, and it honestly couldn't have come at a better time. This team needs to hit pause, get guys into treatment, and reassess how they want to proceed. There's nothing wrong with being cautious. In fact, it's probably the smartest approach when you're this far from week 1. But caution doesn't negate the reality that some important progress is being stalled. But even with all that negativity hanging over the injury list there, were some fun, encouraging moments from Tuesday's practice that deserve spotlighting. Let's go back to the defense and talk about Matt Milano again. That interception off Josh Allen wasn't just athletic, it was cerebral. He read the route combination, felt Kincaid slipping behind him, and baited Allen into a throw he was ready to jump. That kind of play is a perfect example of what makes Milano so valuable. He's instinctive fast and always a step ahead mentally. He's been playing at an all-pro level, and there's no reason to believe he's slowing down. Daquan Hardy, another defensive back, made a standout diving interception off Mike White. And while the throw wasn't exactly a gem, more like an errant floater, Hardy's reaction and positioning was still impressive. He saw the opportunity and pounced. That's what you want from your defensive depth guys who can recognize mistakes and capitalize immediately. Tre'Davious White continued his strong camp with a great pass breakup on Josh Palmer. Palmer had some separation down the field, but White tracked him, recovered and got his hand in at the catch point. It was a vintage White play. Great technique, excellent timing, and just enough physicality to disrupt the catch without drawing a flag. If he can maintain this level, he'll be one of the most important pieces on the defense. Offensively, there were a few sparks despite the short-handed receiver group. Josh Allen connected on a deep ball to Stephen Gosnell, and say what you will about the situation. When a quarterback of Allen's caliber trusts you enough to let one fly deep in your direction, that's a big deal. Gosnell, an undrafted free agent out of Virginia Tech, has quietly built a case to be a preseason standout. He's gotten reps with every quarterback. He's showing up in special teams drills, and he's catching the ball well. It's early, but he feels like one of those guys who earns a practice squad spot and forces tough decisions. Mitch Trubisky also got in on the action, launching a bomb to Deion Kane for a big gain. Kane's been around the league for a few years now, but these are the plays he needs to string together to get back into the conversation. When your depth guys make splash plays, it adds a little pressure to the room. And that's what you want in camp. Now let's talk about some of the offensive wrinkles. First off, we're seeing more from the pistol formation. It's a different look that offers flexibility in the run and play action game, and the Bills used it to run a play with James Cook as the deep back and Reggie Gilliam aligned alongside Josh Allen. Ed Oliver blew it up in the backfield, but the concept itself was interesting. There's clearly an effort to diversify the offense and keep defenses guessing. The hook and lateral, run not once, not twice, but 3 times, was another surprise. The execution varied in success, but it was sharp enough that you could tell it wasn't just being installed for fun. There's a possibility this becomes a situational play in the season. And if nothing else, it gave the defense something different to prepare for. Then you've got the 2-back sets which continue to show up. Whether it's Cook and Gilliam or Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, the Bills are tinkering with personnel groupings that can stress defenses. It's clear they're not just trying to be predictable and lean into a one-dimensional identity. And in a league where versatility is king, that could end up being a real advantage. At tight end, Jackson Hall is making the most of his opportunities. With both Knox and Kincaid missing time, Hall has been logging a ton of first-team reps, and he's been quietly solid. Blocking is his calling card, and that shows up consistently, but he's also making some underneath catches on routes like drags and short outs. Nothing flashy, but enough to make you think he could be more than just a 6th lineman in disguise. And don't forget Khalil Shakir. For all the love he got last year as a reliable YAC weapon, the new wrinkle this year is how he's being used downfield, slot fades, deep outs. Those types of routes are starting to show up in his portfolio. If he can stretch the field vertically, in addition to creating yards underneath, he could be a serious problem for defenses this year. As for the developmental guys, there's a lot of intrigue, but still a need for patience. Deone Walker, Landon Jackson, and TJ Sanders are all flashing in spurts, but it's hard to fully evaluate them yet. They're showing hustle, physicality, and eagerness, but the sample size is too small to make big conclusions. That said, coaches are watching, and the fact that they're consistently getting reps is a positive sign. Travis Clayton, the rugby player turned offensive lineman, has had a few nice moments in one-on-one drills. Sure, he still looks raw at times, but that's to be expected. What's important is that he's not getting overwhelmed. He's competing, and in the trenches, that's half the battle. If he gets on the field during preseason games, that alone is a signal of progress. One more name worth watching is undrafted safety Juwan Dowles. He's physically smart, and he's got a real shot at earning a role on special teams. He made a big hit in practice that got the sideline fired up, and you can see the intentionality in his play. He's one of those guys who, if he sticks around on the practice squad, could become a factor down the road. Zion Logue is another under Theradar name to monitor. He looks the part physically. There's very little bad weight on his frame. And he plays like a one-tech who knows what his job is. Plug up space anchor and hold firm at the point of attack. Compared to last year, the growth is obvious. He's leaner, quicker off the ball, and more confident in his hand placement. It's early, but you can sense there's more there to work with now than there was a year ago. So yes, the injuries are a real concern. Yes, the offense is taking longer to gel than you'd hope. But there are bright spots, flashes of talent, signs of growth, and young players stepping into the light. That's what camp is all about. The roster battles are just beginning, and the preseason is going to reveal a lot. But if Tuesday's practice was any indication the defense is setting, the tone on the rest of the team needs to catch up fast. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In the ever-shifting landscape of the NFL, where player moves often spark waves of excitement and speculation, the latest buzz swirling through the league is nothing short of electrifying. Rumor has it that SAQUON Barkley, the dynamic running back who has been a marquee figure for the Philadelphia Eagles, is poised to swap the midnight green and silver for the red, white, and blue of the Buffalo Bills. This potential blockbuster move has sent shockwaves across the football world, igniting conversations about what this could mean for both franchises involved and the ripple effects on the league's competitive balance. Barkley, widely regarded as one of the most talented and explosive backs in the NFL, has been a cornerstone of the Eagles' offense since his entry into the league. Known for his rare combination of speed, power, and vision, he has dazzled fans with highlight reel runs and a knack for turning broken plays into game-changing moments. However, whispers emerging from insider sources suggest that the Eagles and Barkley might be heading toward an unexpected parting of ways. The speculation is that the Bills, hungry for a dominant offensive weapon to pair with their prolific passing attack, have stepped up with an enticing offer to bring Barkley into their fold. The Bills, a team that has steadily built a reputation as one of the AFC's most formidable contenders, appear eager to bolster their ground game and add a new dimension to their offense. With Josh Allen's arm commanding defense's respect, integrating a star running back like Barkley could transform Buffalo into a nearly unstoppable force. Rumors hint that the Bills front office has been in serious discussions to finalize a deal that would see Barkley don the Bills' colors, joining a roster already brimming with talent. This move, if confirmed, would mark a significant shift in the balance of power within the conference and potentially the entire league. On the Eagles side, the news of Barkley's potential departure has stirred mixed emotions among fans and analysts alike. While Barkley's tenure in Philadelphia has been marked by memorable performances and moments of brilliance, some speculate that contract negotiations or strategic shifts might be motivating the move. The Eagles, known for their shrewd roster management, might be looking to reallocate resources or reshape their offensive identity in light of this development. The possibility of Barkley leaving opens the door for fresh faces to emerge in the Eagles' backfield, while also raising questions about how the team will compensate for the loss of such a dynamic playmaker. The buzz surrounding Barkley's potential move to Buffalo is amplified by the broader NFL narrative of star players switching teams in search of new challenges, better fits, or championship opportunities. For Barkley, joining the Bills could represent a chance to rewrite his legacy, teaming up with a top-tier quarterback and a coach with a proven track record. The synergy between Barkley's explosive running style and the Bills' balanced offensive scheme could create a perfect storm, elevating Buffalo's offense to unprecedented heights. Fans and pundits alike are eager to see how this chemistry might unfold and what impact it could have on the Bills' quest for a Super Bowl title. Of course, as with all rumors in professional sports, caution is warranted. While multiple sources have hinted at the likelihood of Barkley's transition to Buffalo, official confirmation remains pending. Contract details, medical evaluations, and final negotiations often play a decisive role in the ultimate outcome of such deals. The NFL offseason is rife with similar stories that generate excitement but sometimes fizzle out before materializing. Yet, the intensity of the current chatter and the alignment of interest between Barkley and the Bills lend credibility to this narrative. As the NFL world watches with bated breath, the potential signing of SAQUON Barkley by the Buffalo Bills stands as a tantalizing prospect that could reshape the 2025 season's landscape. This move embodies the ever-present drama of the sport, where fortunes shift rapidly. and a single transaction can alter the destiny of franchises. Whether Barkley will indeed embrace the red, white, and blue remains to be seen, but for now, the rumor mill is abuzz with the thrilling possibility of one of the league's brightest stars embarking on a new chapter with the Bills. Fans across the nation are undoubtedly keeping their eyes peeled for what could be one of the most significant storylines of the NFL offseason. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.